I was just sitting here thinking back to all the things that I've achieved and the things that I've overcome. And when I decided that I wanted to make art and I was changing completely from a different career and all the things that I've done setting up United Art Space, there has always been a group of people around me that's helped me. And even when I was pursuing writing a book recently, the biggest piece of advice I was given straight away from Steve McDermott was find your book crew, find a group of people around you who are going to mentor you. And that's what I wanted to talk about in today's session, because I do get asked this a lot. How do you find a mentor? Because I have a really solid group of people around me. I have mentors. I have done, when I look back now, I have done for years. I just didn't really realize they were mentors. So that's what I want to talk about in today's session, because we can't do whatever it is we want to do alone, and especially being an artist, 100% having people around us to support us and keep us going, and mentors is 100% necessary, in my opinion. So I am talking about mentor in a kind of stretched, a stretched definition, but in a nutshell, a mentor is somebody that gives us guidance, motivation, support. They're a role model. And so a person that is on our journey alongside us, whether we know them or not. I've had mentors before that I've never even met in person. So I'm using this as a really stretched definition. Some people think of a mentor as someone that you meet in person, you meet every week, they're there to help you. And that's one definition of a mentor. So for me, I'm stretching this and to incorporate people throughout my life, and I'll share some examples, and throughout pockets of time where I've had different types of people helping me and supporting me, and in some sense are a mentor. So we're thinking here broadly about people who guide us, inspire us, show us the way, support us. Because if you have a vision of being an artist who makes a living, you want to set up an art studio like what I've done in the past, you want to create an art magazine, having people around you to support you and lift you and show you and guide you is really, really important. And one question I get asked all the time, because I talk about my mentors a lot because they mean the world to me. I literally, hands down, cannot thank my mentors enough. And I'll be giving them a shout out in this session because, oh my gosh, I literally wouldn't be where I am today without them. I really, 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 really wouldn't. And so I'm going to cast my mind back over the years as well, where I've had mentors and didn't realize they were mentors. Sometimes we think of a mentor as this official role and we have to ask permission, like, can you be my mentor? And then that person invests in us and we meet them all the time and they're going to be by our side. And that was the definition that I had in my head for a long time. And now I look back and realize that I did have mentors. They just wasn't official, but they were definitely people guiding me and inspiring me and by my side and supporting me along the way. So when I think about, when people ask me, like, how do you find a mentor? The first thing that I always say is, don't ask someone to be a mentor. This is what I found anyway. I'm sure there are instances where it works, where you can ask someone, would you be my mentor? And they say yes, and that's great. But I find, on the whole, if you ask someone to be a mentor, it's a big commitment and it makes people freeze sometimes. And I've been asked it loads of times. You ask me, I'll say no. Because it's a commitment and a responsibility as well. And so quite often people will say no if you ask them, but you can engineer a relationship with somebody and still be mentored without the official title. And that's what I've always done. And so let me share some of the situations that I've been in where I found myself with a mentor, and it kind of just grew organically. Because one thing I will say from finding really good mentors is it's not a transaction that is one way. You don't just find a mentor and then they serve you and that's it. Finding a mentor and building a relationship with a mentor, it's a two-way thing. And this is where some people do go wrong, because they're searching for someone to help them. And I need someone to help me. I'm going to hold my hands up. I've been this person. I remember vividly hunting for someone to help me. And the best way to get the best out of a mentor is to make it a two-way. And I'll talk about that. So building relationships, getting to know someone, getting to know people. And so I'll give you some examples of what I mean by this. So I always think of mentors in buckets as well, because I'm using this term broadly. I've always had different types of mentors, and I think it's useful to have these different types of people in your life that can help you and support you and guide you along the way. So the first type of mentor, and I'm just kind of loosely describing these, is an expert, somebody who is many steps ahead of you doing exactly what you want to do. And so that's looking up to someone or towards someone who's a few steps ahead, that has the knowledge. They're exactly standing in the shoes and they know they can help you with the next 1 to 3 steps that you need to take. They maybe know the technique that you're trying to learn. They're already working at that scale and you want to work at that scale. They're the people that know how to do it, and they are happy to share that information with you. So these are the kind of experts. That's one type of mentor. Another type of mentor is someone who it's like a cheerleader, a champion. The cheerleaders or the champions, someone who really, really understands you and gets you and comments and shares your work with people. And they're just really enthused and excited about what it is that you do. These are people that you can really lean into to find out more about your industry, for example. So somebody who's really, really into what you're doing might have access to your people as well. They might have connections. So, for example, let me try and think of an example here. A champion could be, or your cheerleader, it could be a gallery, it could be or a magazine, or, a gallery just really sees something in you, and they might not even represent you yet, but this gallery sees something. And, they're not the artist that you're looking towards who has the skills. This person might not even be an artist, but they really see something in you. They believe in you. And you can cultivate really amazing relationships with these types of people that really see something in you and learn from them, and get their feedback. And if they do have the contacts, they will nurture you and put you in touch with people and say, my gosh, you need to go and speak to this person. I'm a champion for quite a few people. I do this a lot, where I work with people and I pin people together. I go, oh my gosh, you need to speak to this person. So having someone like that in your world is useful. I'm going to share an example now of Sharon, my friend Sharon. I laugh every time I say that now, because I say it a lot. I say it so much, it's ridiculous. But my friend Sharon, I remember when she was really, really looking to get into a gallery that she really admired, and the gallery kept rejecting her, but they saw something in Sharon. They saw something in Sharon's work, but they just felt like she wasn't ready for the gallery yet. But Sharon cultivated a relationship rather than just hearing a no and walking away and going, okay. Sharon didn't just take the no. Sharon went back and said, I absolutely love your gallery. I appreciate and respect that you've said no. but I really want to stay in touch. I'd love to learn more about what it would take to be in your gallery because it's an aspiration that I have. And Sharon continued to go to open studio sessions there and, support the owner of the gallery and keep in touch with the gallery. So it wasn't just about Sharon getting into the gallery and being desperate to get in. There was a real relationship being built and a mutual respect. It was like, I want to be in the gallery not just because I want to sell, but because I really love your gallery. And there's a lot to be said for coming from that approach. And then what ended up happening because of that, Sharon grew this amazing relationship with the gallery and they became a mentor even when they weren't representing Sharon, and they helped Sharon shape her artwork and now represent her, and it's been one of the biggest um, gallery representations that sell her work. They sell tons of her work now, and they have still this amazing relationship where the gallery owner is still a mentor to Sharon today, guiding Sharon, coming to her studio, chatting about the direction of her work and where it's going. And so that's an example of a champion or a cheerleader. It could be somebody who maybe isn't even in the art world that really understands what you're doing and wants to help you share that and gives you feedback along the way and encouragement, because it's not just about advice either. Having a mentor is about someone who can really encourage you as well when those times come where you feel that you don't know what to do and you're losing it and you're kind of feeling the fear. And the champion, the mentor who's by your side can just get, keep going. You're amazing, and remind you of the things that you've done and how far you've come. So that's that kind of type of mentor. And another type of mentor is the peer. The peer is someone who's doing what you're doing right now. You're kind of at the same, you're on the same pathway, or you're at the same kind of stage. Another term for this is a co-pilot, peer. There's lots of terms, but it's kind of someone who's doing what you're doing already, and you're kind of in this together, sharing. So I have a couple of these people in my life, and one is Sharon. So Sharon and I, although we are doing different things, we are massively, massively in the arts. So Sharon is a full-time artist selling her artwork, and I am full-time running United Art Space, an arts organisation providing resources to artists. But we have been solidly kind of mentoring each other for the last 6 years now, where we come together, we bounce ideas off each other, we challenge each other. We are not afraid to question each other and say, why are you doing that? We have this really amazing relationship where sometimes I'll feel myself getting defensive with Sharon because she'll prod me and she'll prod me a bit too far. And I go, oh, but we have this amazing understanding because we've been supporting each other for 6 years now. And this is the great thing if you cultivate a great relationship with someone that continues over a long period of time, because you really do get to know each other. And that when that happens, the more you can be very brutal and honest with each other, which is where growth comes, and the uncomfortable feeling, and they trigger you and you think, why am I getting triggered by this? And you learn so much about yourself. So sometimes, touching on the timescale, sometimes you might have a mentor and they might stay with you for years, and sometimes you might have a mentor and they might just mentor you for a week. So I'll continue with the examples. So I have another co-pilot or peer is Marisa Cummings, and Marisa is doing exactly what I do, helps artists make a living from their artwork. And we met a few years ago, and about 4 years ago, I think. And I do remember at the time when I wasn't feeling so confident, meeting Marisa and meeting other people, in fact, that do what I do, and seeing them as competition and feeling a bit vulnerable around them and thinking, oh, I'm not going to share too much because they do what I do. And through a mentor of mine, Stu McLaren, who I'll talk about soon, he teaches us that community beats competition. And the more you can come together with people that are doing what you're doing, it's powerful. And so this I see sometimes amongst artists. So you might have a couple of portrait artists in the group who feel threatened by each other because, oh my gosh, we now need to fight for the same customers. But you don't, because there are billions of people in the world. And that's what has been amazing for me to realize, is that I have mentored up now with people that are doing exactly the same. And Marisa and I, it's really exciting because we're actually meeting each other this weekend. We do exactly the same job and we could see each other as competition, but we don't. We don't. We actually pass people. I'll always recommend Marisa, and likewise. And there are enough people in the world to go around. We don't have to have this scarcity mindset of, oh gosh, you're going to take my people away. And we work together. We share what's working and what isn't working. And it's beautiful. It's amazing. And I never thought I'd be like that with and so comfortable with someone in case they steal your ideas and they start to copy you and replicate you. Again, when you build that trust with someone and that rapport with someone, we have a mutual respect. I would never ever do anything to jeopardize that relationship with Marisa. I'd never cross the line. I'm very careful. If I have something that I feel is going to be too similar, I'd speak to Marisa about it and say, I have this idea. It's a bit similar to yours. It's never happened, but that's what I would do. And so having someone in your camp that is in the same kind of stage as you is really helpful. Don't see people as competition. Some people maybe who are just not on your same wavelength, and maybe they do want to steal from you. You'll be very quick to know someone and trust someone. It's a gradual, like I say, it's a gradual thing of mutual respect and understanding. So when Marisa and I first met, maybe we both were a little bit cautious, and it was over time where we got on a Zoom together and then we talked to each other. We're in the same group. We have a group which I'll talk about in a minute because that's part of one of my mentors. And so that's how we've built that relationship, and now we support each other, and it's so important. So the other type of mentor is, I would say, a coach or an anchor, someone who's not in the same industry. So let's speak of art. So somebody who's just not in the art world, and the anchor, the coach is somebody who maybe fills a gap that you need filling. So maybe let's say, for example, you're just not good at organizing and you have someone by your side who's really good at organizing, or you're no good at books, so you've got someone by your side who's really good with numbers, or yeah, you get the drift. So it's someone who just is not related to what you're doing, a really great outsider. I think this is why this type of person is so good, because this person is probably going to not really understand your world very well. So they'll be able to come with a really, really objective view as well. And it might be a friend. And in fact, I do have a really good friend, Sonia, who probably is, yeah, she's probably, when I say she's my friend, she's probably my mentor as well, because she's definitely someone who is an outsider and she challenges me. And I talk to her about my business all the time when we meet up. And so that's a great example. If you've got a friend that you can just sound out and say, this is where I'm what I'm feeling. Because don't forget that a great mentor. Because don't forget, a great mentor is someone who inspires you or supports you as well. So it's really important to have someone that you can just sound out sometimes who will just listen and just bring you back. So that's where my friend Sonia is amazing, because I'll talk to Sonia and she doesn't know anything about my industry or anything about art or anything like that. But I'll just talk to Sonia about things and she'll just bring me back and make me see reason. And having people like that around you is so, so important. Um, Now, I also have a couple of other people that are in that category, the anchor, the coach. I have actually two coaches as well, that I meet up with that don't know anything about art, but they know a lot about business, and I meet up with them. So I'll talk about my mentors at the end. The last one is when you mentor someone yourself, you can learn so much when you mentor someone. And so this is brings me to the question about why someone would be a mentor, actually, because there is a part of us when we mentor, and you probably mentor without even realizing, but by being a friend to someone, I'm sure, or to a family relative, you have mentored somebody in some capacity at some point, without a doubt. It's giving someone that guidance, that support, teaching people the next steps. So you have mentored someone, no doubt. And so one of the reasons that we do that is because we like to give, we like to help, we want to support each other. We in this community especially like to lift each other up. So in our community, there's lots of mentoring going on. People probably don't even realize it, but there is. And one of the reasons as well that it's great to mentor others is that we learn. So I mentor people, maybe not in an official way, but there's lots of people you probably listening now that I've mentored over the years. I've given advice and support and help, and I've been there to listen to people, and I've given people their next steps. And I learn so much when I do that. I'm learning from the questions. I'm learning from people that challenge me on something when I give advice and they say, but what about this? And I go, And this is where this is amazing, because we never stop learning. And even a mentor, doesn't matter who they are, they're always learning too. And they'll have mentors. And so it's this kind of self-fulfilling thing, which is amazing. So just notice that in yourself as well, that you are probably mentoring. And the more that you can give back as well, I'm not saying that you need to now go and take on a load of people and say that you're going to be their mentor. Because like I said earlier, you can mentor, you can just give advice back to someone in a short space of time. It doesn't mean that you need to be their mentor and by their side for the next year. So I'm going to share now some of the mentors that I've had and the situations, just so that you understand how I cultivated these relationships. So back in the day, I would say, I mean, oh gosh, there's so many stories that I could pull up. So I'm just going to talk about when I first actually started in business. So when I first started in business, the first thing that I did was find a business coach. And I knew I wanted to start up. I knew nothing about business. I was terrified. I had all the fear. And I just searched high and low. I went to local councils. I went to local education authorities. I just kept asking. And I would read magazines and scour and ask who in this area can help with startups and grants and help me. And I just kept asking, who can I speak to? Who can I speak to? And then somebody ended up saying to me, you need to speak to someone called Nikki Kent. She helps people set up business, especially social enterprise, because I said that I really want to set up a business where I'm giving back. And so I went to this event, and I'll never forget. And I was asking everyone, where's Nikki Kent? Where's Nikki Kent? Because I knew she was going to be at this event. It was all people with stands showcasing like business stuff. I can't remember exactly. So anyway, and then I found Nikki and I was like, hi, Nikki. And I introduced myself, and I hadn't had time at that point. And this is what I was fresh into this whole thing. So I hadn't had time to build the relationship. I went straight in going, hi, Nikki, I need some help. And so back then, I mean, this was years ago, this was 6 years ago. And so But I came from a place of approaching Nikki with my mission and what I wanted to do. And that's really important to get enthused about what it is that you want to do. That's one way of connecting with people. And this is what I teach, really honing in on your why. It's massive when you want to connect with people, helping people understand that I need some help because I want to do this, because and setting the vision. So it's not just about you, it's about what you want to do and the impact that you're going to have on yourself and others and through your art. And so I didn't really plan out a pitch, but I was just so excited about what I wanted to do. So I think that came across. And Nikki Kent ended up becoming a mentor. And still to this day, we are friends, and still Nikki's on the end of the phone if ever I need anything. She's amazing. And that came from that interaction of me hunting someone down. And then we just became friends. And Nikki was the person that helped me get United Art Space off the ground when it was a physical studio space. And then I also, at the same time, remember somebody advising me saying, if you want to set up a studio space, who's got a studio space already? I wanted to create a studio space for artists where they could come and work and we could have workshops. And that was my vision back then when I set up United Art Space. And someone said to me, go and find who is the best of the best and approach them, build a relationship with them. And it was E Street Arts for me in Leeds. They were people who I looked up to. They are the second biggest studio holder in the UK. I'd been part of their studios when I lived in Leeds, and I approached them. But before I approached them, I'd learned a little bit since approaching Nikki Kent and just chasing her and going, I need your help, which it did work. But then I've started to learn about cultivating relationships and actually this being a two-way thing and not just taking. And I was really, really broke at the time. I didn't really have much money. So I went on their website and I did some research about them. I looked at their mission and I looked at what they do. I already kind of knew about them, but I wanted to really look at this before I approached them. And there was a donate button on their website because they're a charitable cause, and they were looking for donations, and they said, if you want to support us, donate. And I donated £5 because I was really, really, really broke. That £5 was like a week's money for me back then. I'd just come fresh out of art school and I wasn't working. I was, unemployed. And so, but I gave something. Anyway, then I had kind of this information to go to the founders of E Street Arts. And I went with my mission and I said, this is my vision. You've inspired me so much because of your studios. I've just been looking on your website and I'm so excited about the work that you're doing. And I talked to them about the time that I'd been in their studio. So I brought up stories of when I'd been there because I did go and see them. And I said, and I've also just made a donation on your site. And then I ended with, I'd just love to get some advice from you or some pointers because I'd love to set up a studio space in my local area and the reason why. And I sent that off and I wasn't expecting to get a reply. And they did. The founders of E Street Arts replied back to me and they set a meeting up. And I went up to Leeds because I was living in Shropshire at the time. So this was like 2.5 hours. So I went on the train and they became my mentors and they were incredible. And they said that they actually said yes because they actually did the same when they were setting up their studio, and they'd gone to the biggest UK studio holders saying, we want to do the same that you're doing. And they went, great, here's all of our information. And they did the same for me. They gave me contracts, they gave me advice. They were there on the phone when I needed them, when I found a building and I said, I don't know what to do next. They gave me the advice of this is what you need, this is what you need next. They were incredible. And then they ended up giving me space around the UK for free to have exhibitions. So I set up a studio space with the help of E Street Arts and Nikki Kent. And then I ended up having exhibitions around the UK with the space that we'd been given from E Street Art. So it was just this amazing, amazing collaboration. And then that kind of fizzled out as things sometimes do. Nikki Kent has always stayed in the background. E Street Arts, I would love to get back in touch with them and give back at some point. I always keep thinking that I need to go back and do that. And then what developed after that was then I ended up wanting to set up an online platform because I'd set up a physical studio space, but I wanted to take it online and I had no clue what to do. And then when I started to follow people online, I found this lady called Beth Kempton. And Beth Kempton is founder of Do What You Love for Life. And back 6 years ago, when I found Beth, that concept to me was unheard of. And so I had Beth on this big pedestal. She's this amazing person that's sold online courses and she knows so much and she's really posh and and I just thought I could never ever be around someone like that because I'm so ridiculous. That's what I used to think back then. Like she wouldn't even speak to me ever. But I followed Beth and I was consuming content from Beth and then I ended up taking one of Beth's courses, which was to learn how to write a course because I realized that I wanted to write a course and I signed up. And I went way above and beyond to get inside that course and connect with Beth. And I shared everything that I was doing with other people. And I became an advocate of Beth and I was sharing posts and I was, I just really, and it wasn't because I was trying to get anything. It was genuinely because I was just so like, this person is amazing. So for Beth and me was kind of the master expert. So Beth was the master expert that felt very far out of reach from where I was. And I ended up doing this course. And then Beth became my mentor. And I don't know, I feel like I manifested this in some way because I was like, wouldn't it be amazing if Beth became my mentor? And I was so engrossed in what she was doing, what she was teaching. And I ended up applying for a spot to have a free session where I was mentored by Beth and I won the session. It was crazy. I was like, oh my God, what are the chances of this? I'd been watching Beth for such a long time with like this scary lady. And then I had this chance to meet her in person and have a one-to-one session. And I was like, oh my gosh, I was so nervous. And so I ended up having this session with Beth and I ended up, oh, she was just incredible. She gave me so many pointers and we spent 2 hours going through all my plans and she put me in contact with people and brought opportunities my way. And then what came from that is I could have just walked away and just gone, thank you very much, and then left, but I didn't. I kept in Beth's world. I made sure she could see me. I'd comment on her posts. I'd email her every now and again, not asking for anything, just sending nice things her way. Um, and this is what relationship building is. You're not just there to just take. And I wasn't just there to take that session. That wasn't what it was for me. I didn't want to take that session and walk away. I wanted to give back and show my gratitude for the time that Beth had sent and given me. And so, and by doing that, then Beth became a mentor for quite a long time. And in fact, when Beth launched her book, Wabi Sabi, I don't know if anyone's heard of Wabi Sabi. Um, I had this crazy dream where Beth gave me a set of chopsticks. And I remember telling Beth about this story. I was like, I dreamt about you last night. I dreamt that you gave me a pair of chopsticks. It was really random. And I said, you gave me all these words of wisdom. And Beth ended up, when she launched the book of Wabi Sabi, she ended up posting me a signed copy of the book and some chopsticks. And I know this might sound ridiculous saying this now to you, but I share this story because you literally don't know where life will take you sometimes. And you can put people on pedestals and put them so far out of reach. And I know Sharon's talked to me about this before, saying how she's looked to artists and been terrified to get in touch with them because they just seem like this, super being and we don't have anything in common and they're going to look at me and laugh at me. And actually now she's friends with them and they're her mentors and she hangs out with them. And so that's why I shared this story. And I never ever thought I would sit there with a signed copy a Robbie Sabby and a pair of chopsticks that Beth went to the trouble of buying and sending me. It was just an amazing moment. And that's what mentorship is. That moment of being seen and heard and thanked, and it's a two-way thing. And so now I have a few other mentors. So let me tell you about another one, which is a coach of mine. And I want to talk about paying versus not paying. So, you know, Beth and I never paid Beth. That was a situation, you know, that would not happen now. You have to pay Beth if you want her to mentor you. I was kind of in a great place, right place at the right time. It's a lot of money now to work with Beth one-on-one for a one-on-one session. And so Sharon and I, you know, peers, Marisa and I, you know, we don't charge each other. Those kinds of mentorship relationships you don't pay for. And I know that there are many artists out there who are steps ahead, like E Street Arts or other artists that I know who are steps ahead. I spoke to a guy recently, John, that said he looks up to this artist who can create big, massive, large scale sculptures, vases. And John's in this stage of wanting to scale up, but he just can't figure out how to get to that size, and reached out to this artist who he thought was never going to get back to me. And they were like, "Yeah, I'll show you how I do it," and sent a video and gave him all these tips. And that's what I'm talking about here. These people, and he might continue that relationship. They might continue to support each other. And John now will go back and share, and or it might just lead to nothing. I know someone else who met an artist on a park bench recently, and they sat and looked at this other artist's work, and that ended up becoming a relationship where they met on the bench, and then ended up being a mentor. This guy was an amazing artist, and ended up mentoring this other artist that they just met randomly and meet up every week to talk about her artwork. And so having these pockets of people is really important. And sometimes you don't have to pay, and sometimes you do have to pay. And so sometimes you might cultivate a relationship with somebody, like I have with someone called Steve McDermott, which I went on his course. So I did pay in a sense because I paid for his course. But Steve has gone on since then to mentor me, and he's been on the phone and he's written a book. So he's a master. This is one of my master mentors. He's a master. He's got very, very big connections. He's written a book. He's amazing. And he's got on the phone with me and helped me. He genuinely wants to help. And no payment required. And I want to help him as well. So I have gone away above and beyond to share his posts and comment and check in with him. And he's just run a marathon, and I've sent him a message. And then there are other people that I pay. And sometimes you can have a coach without paying as well. So I'm just thinking of Rachel. So Rachel is one of my coaches. And it might seem like I have a lot here. Some of them I meet regularly. Sometimes we don't. Like Beth now, I don't see much. I do sometimes. I spoke to Beth like a year ago. We kind of cross paths every now and again. Nikki Kent, I don't really see much of Nikki Kent anymore. She's there if I need her. But my solid people now, Sharon, Marisa, and my co-pilot, and then my main mentor, Stu, I pay because I remember years ago someone saying, if you want to set up a membership site, which is what I wanted to do, you need to speak to Stu McLaren. He knows everything about membership sites. And this again was back years ago. And I thought, oh gosh, I need this guy. I know I want to do this art membership, but I just don't know how to do it. And I remember listening to someone's podcast and researching him, and it was $10,000 a day, which is way more than that now, to work with him, because he works with big organizations and people who are earning loads of money. I was like, I'm never going to be able to meet someone like that or be mentored by someone like that. I can't afford that. And it was really weird because the year after he released a course, and I wasn't quite ready to sign up for the course. I was too scared. So I held back, and it was a lot of money. So I worked my butt off that year to save up for the course that I knew was going to come out the following year. And then I signed up for his course, and I did the same thing. I did all the homework. I was sharing, and I was, just really really in awe of this person, not just there to take, but there to learn from this person and there to show back and give back to his community. So I really did a lot of work to go to share and give back to people and show my appreciation for the course and for the advice we were being given. And then over time, I just stayed in his world because everything that Stu has taught me has worked. And I just love everything that he talks about. I just think he's an amazing person. And he's always up to date with latest stuff. So for me, it was a no-brainer to stay in his world. It's very expensive to stay in his world. So I'm now in his mastermind group. And his mastermind group is a small group of people. When I say small group, there's 80 of us, but really kind of 20, 30 of us that know each other very, very, very well. And we meet up every month on a Zoom call, and we have kind of like hot seats where we bring a challenge and we all help each other. And then we meet up every quarter where we have a big session together over 2 days, and it's amazing. And we all teach each other things. So we all bring things. So we teach each other, and we share what's working and what isn't working. Oh my gosh, it is so valuable. It's expensive, but it's so, so valuable. I would not be without that now. And I have Stu in my pocket. So Stu now is a friend. We have become friends, which is just so crazy when I used to think back to when it was like, oh, who is this guy? And I'd never be able to afford that. And Stu is the one I went hiking with. He's the one that I went to Canada with, and we did the big hike together. I'm seeing him next week. He's been over to London and we've met. It's insane. um, and so that's one that I pay for and I value everything, and it's worth every single penny, hands down. Um, then I have another coach who I meet probably every 6 weeks. And that comes from a grant. So I've been given a grant, and this is the thing. If you look out there, if you want help, if you want support, there is usually stuff going on that you don't have to pay for. There is usually support. I've been given so much grant money over the years and support. And Rachel is somebody that I meet up with every 6 weeks, and Rachel is my anchor. So the person who I go to, the coach who I go to just sound things out, and I just get a sense check. Rachel knows nothing about the art world, nothing about, how my business works in depth, but it will just sound out, and I just go, right, this is what's going on. Am I on the right track? Yeah, okay. And she might challenge me on a few things. And so there we are. I think I've covered kind of the main. And also I've missed out a group of people that I meet up with, is my accountability group. So these are people who are my anchors again, I would say. They're not in my industry, but we meet, and we actually met through Stu McLaren. So Stu's course, Tribe, we all took it at the same time, and they put us into an accountability group. And our accountability group, we check in with each other every week and keep each other accountable to what are we working on, what are we focusing on, what's getting in our way, what's happening that's amazing this week. And our accountability group, we've been checking in with each other for years since then. So you can see I have a lot of support. I've built a lot of people around me to support me, because there's no way I could do this alone. Absolutely no way. And I know other artists, Sharon especially, Sharon has got a pocket of people around her, gallery owners, other artists, me, a group of people, mentors who are supporting her along the journey. And I know that's the case for a lot of our members as well. So I don't need to feel like you've got to go out there now and go and get all these people. Like, I need all these people. I need an anchor, and I need a co-pilot. You don't need to tick it off the list and do it like that. You just need to be mindful of building relationships and cultivating people around you to support you. If you're a hub member, go over to the hub, because I have a lesson on cultivating relationships. If you go in and type relationships, you'll see a whole lesson on how to do this. I go into much more detail of how to approach people. I even give you templates that you can go and email people with that I've written, and you just replace it. Okay, Thank you so much. That was a great session, and I'll see you all very, very soon. Bye bye.